This is 3 News Daily.
Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Daily on this Wednesday, March 1st. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from around Northeast Ohio. And we start off here in Cleveland today, where fire crews are still on the scene of yet another explosion. It happened at A.J. Rose Manufacturing Company on West 38th Street. A.J. Rose released a statement saying that a fire broke out this morning, causing nitrogen and propane tanks to explode. They tell us that the fire is now under control and thankfully no one was hurt. We'll continue to gather more information and update you on our website on WKYC.com. Now this morning, Governor Mike DeWine was back in East Palestine to visit the site of the train derailment, giving an update on how things are going with hazardous waste removal. The governor visited the contaminated areas at Sulphur Run and Leslie Run. Here he is thanking crews at the scene for their hard work.
Frankly, I have a great admiration for all the people who are out here. This is an amazing operation. It's a big operation. They're removing massive amounts, going out of here. I mean, they told me by the time they're done, they think it'll be 30,000 truckloads. I mean, think of that, 30,000 truckloads going out of here, which is just absolutely amazing.
30,000 truckloads. Wow. Now, DeWine said the goal is to return the city back to normal, but that it won't happen overnight. Norfolk Southern says it's working with the U.S. EPA and the Ohio EPA on their plan to begin removing and replacing the soil underneath the train tracks themselves. That's as the work continues in the surrounding area. And in Congress, Ohio Senators J.D. Vance and Sherrod are set to introduce a new bill called the Railway Safety Act of 2023. It aims to prevent future train disasters like the one in East Palestine. It calls for stricter rail safety protocols like enhancing safety procedures for trains carrying hazardous materials, setting new requirements for wayside defect detectors, requiring all railroads to have at least 2-person crews, and increasing fines on rail companies for causing disasters like the one that just happened in Ohio. Now in Sheffield Lake, residents are upset after Mayor Dennis Bring made the decision to suspend the city's police K9 unit only months after it started. Mayor Bring says the decision was made because the police car used by the K9 unit needs to be used as a regular patrol car for now. Donors say they raised $10,000 to help get K9 Lenny to Sheffield Lake. Now Mayor Bring says that money will be returned to those donors. Now, over $140,000 has been returned to victims across the country. That's thanks to one Menor police detective. Back in August of 2022, Detective Rick Smith took on a case where a local victim reported being scammed out of $68,000. During that investigation, he found a person in Maine who had also fallen victim to the same scammer. Eventually, the suspect was found in Atlanta, and the money was returned to those victims. Amazing. All right, now as the racketeering and conspiracy trial of former Ohio House Speaker Larry Householder continues today, he's expected to take the witness stand. This case involves one of the biggest corruption scandals in state history. Householder and co-defendant lobbyist Matt Borges are accused of taking part in a $61 million bribery scheme to bail out companies owned by a First Energy subsidiary. The trial has been going on for weeks now, and the defense is expected to wrap up presenting its case by tomorrow morning. On the West Coast, LA County will pay nearly $30 million to the family of late NBA legend Kobe Bryant after photos were taken at the scene of the deadly 2020 helicopter crash, then shared among county personnel and even sold. The $28.85 million settlement includes $15 million that a federal jury awarded Bryant's widow Vanessa at a trial in August. Kobe, his 13-year-old daughter Gianna, and 7 others died when the helicopter they were in crashed in Calabasas. Now, actor Alec Baldwin continues to face backlash following the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on his movie set. 3 Rust film crew members are now suing Baldwin and the film's producers. The lawsuits say the crew members have anxiety and symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder following the shooting and killing of Hutchins. Baldwin has denied pulling the trigger of the prop gun that killed her. He's been charged with involuntary manslaughter. Also today, extra pandemic payments for SNAP recipients are coming to an end. Thousands of Ohioans are now wondering how they'll put food on the table with high grocery prices. Our Bree Buckley has that story.
It was a real relief and it was a real help.
For the last 3 years, Limey has been relying on additional payments through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, to help him cover the cost of groceries.
To cut it off now with the prices of food is, I don't understand. And then,
But starting March 1st, those additional payments will stop, with SNAP recipients returning to their normal amounts. In Cuyahoga County, officials say that will impact over 200,000 people for a total of roughly $20 million a month.
A lot of people are going to turn to the food banks. A lot of people are still wondering where they're going to turn to. It's going to be a very big impact to the community.
In Summit County, roughly 78,000 people will lose the extra benefits, totaling about $7.6 million monthly, with officials saying senior citizens will be hit the hardest.
They've been receiving an additional $258 per month. So when you start to rely on that over the course of several years now, it will require lots of folks to readjust their budgeting for sure.
The boost ranged from $95 to a few hundred extra dollars per household and was temporary to help during the pandemic. On Tuesday, the state announced there's been a delay in February payments, the last emergency allotment that people will receive.
once you get a budget and then you become accustomed to it and then you have to change, so now it's fear setting in, like, oh my God, what I got to do to supplement this income.
As many, like Limey, worry about what's next.
Fortunately for me, I have other sources of income, but what about the people that don't?
That is quite a big adjustment for a lot of people. Now, if you receive SNAP benefits and you're not sure how your monthly payments will change, we have the link to where you can check on the state's website on WKYC.com. Now to health news, as advisors to the FDA are now recommending the approval of the nation's first RSV vaccine. The injection from Pfizer would only be for people 60 and older, and Pfizer says the single-dose shot can reduce the risk of illness from RSV by up to 86%. The next step is for the FDA to approve it, which can take several months, and then the CDC has to recommend it before people can get it. Now, yesterday, Honda and LG broke ground on a new electric vehicle battery plant in Jeffersonville, Ohio, and that's near Dayton. The multi-billion-dollar investment is another step for Honda as they move away from gasoline-powered vehicles and toward their goal of selling exclusively battery electric and fuel cell electric vehicles by 2040. This plant hopes to be producing batteries starting in 2025. Okay, let's talk about the Browns now, because earlier this week, the Northeast Ohio Transformation blog's Ken Prendergast released an article claiming that the Browns owners want a new multifunctional stadium. Now, Prendergast wrote that the Haslams hired an architectural firm to do an assessment of First Energy Stadium and found that the current stadium doesn't meet their needs. But Browns fans like Robin Lochner, they like being on the lakefront for games.
If you want to keep your fan base happy, you need to do what it takes to bring us a winning team. I'm not so sure. It really depends on the stadium.
Now, the cost to build a new stadium would be around $1 billion, and part of that would be funded by Cleveland taxpayers. The Haslams are denying they're looking into this, but the rumor is they're interested in two locations, where the main post office is downtown and right here where our 3 News building sits right now. That would certainly be interesting. All right, the Ohio Casino Control Commission has released a report breaking down profits earned from sports betting in the first month since it became legal, and it is quite the payday. The total revenue comes to nearly $209 million, with over $1.1 billion in bets placed. The vast majority of the bets were placed online. Ohio's 14 in-person retail sports books reported $3.2 million in revenue. We'll have more details on the breakdown of all of that money coming up tonight for you on What's New at 4 o'clock. And before we go, Lake County is preparing for a once-in-a-lifetime event. We're just 13 months away from the 2024 total solar eclipse. It's expected on April 8th, and Ohio will be one of the best spots to see it all happen. Lake County officials say they're prepping several prime viewing areas. They're expecting this to be a significant economic driver for local business. Millions are expected to pack the area so that they can see this wonder. By the way, it's not coming back again for another 400 years, at least not to the point where you can see it here in Ohio. So mark your calendar, April 8th next year. Thanks for watching 3 News Daily. We'll be back tomorrow with more of your top stories from around Northeast Ohio. Everyone have a great day.